There's an error message, right?
We are live.
Okay, we are live. We are streaming. We're having some issues. Or
Oh,
okay,
no.
intro.
Hey, you should play the intro. Doom, doom.
Hello, everybody. As you could tell, we were having some technical difficulties, but I think everything went well.
Hola.
Hola. Welcome to PerfBytes in StarEast with my amigo, Mark Tomlinson.
Not in Spanish. Not in Espanol.
No en español. This
Right.
time we're PerfBytes English.
Exactly.
English.
Very good.
And
With Leandro's PerfBytes shoes.
PerfBytes shoes, special edition.
Yes,
I don't know,
exactly.
out
Yeah.
of the sun.
Very special. How are you, amigo?
Crazy. Happy.
We both taught workshops today, and so we're both done with our workshops. So what you see here is sort of that post-teaching bliss. Maybe you relax, you kick back. Maybe if you smoke, you'd have a cigarette.
Post-teaching stress disorder.
That workshop was really satisfying workshop. I tell you.
Yeah.
I can feel it in my bones. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
It was so relaxing right now. It's like, yeah, I can't wait to get into the pool or to chill a little bit.
Exactly.
And enjoy a little bit of the time that we're going to have after, well, you started yesterday, right?
I did it was a 2-day workshop. It's the Coveros is the training partner, of course, for StarEast. And so I've been teaching their performance load and stress testing class now for a couple of years. It's a really fun class for the first, it's not really even, like it's their original course from Byron. It's perfectly good framework. And then I just riff. I just turn the class into whatever I want to turn it into. And at least the reviews are good. And I have fun delivering it. But this is the first time 2 days in person. And I only had one person leave the class to go find another workshop today.
That's I cannot believe
No. Total respect, because he was not a web developer, web server, web system database. Like it was, it's like JMeter performance and load testing class. This guy, he worked on discrete control systems for like bulldozers and front end loaders and cat is a worldwide huge construction heavy machinery, and he's a developer of like the discrete control software that's on those systems. So I'm like, that's not web performance load testing. Like, you're not, like, of course if you had a bulldozer with a like hauling rocks, like that would be load testing.
Definitely.
Like if you tested the load in the bucket.
Yeah. And I mean, physical load test. It's a little bit like the bridge example that
bridge
we
breaking,
give,
the point load.
Can it support enough cars? That's load testing.
Exactly.
He said, where
so
did he go to? Why?
He was supposed to go to your workshop.
Oh,
but maybe he did. We don't know. But his name was Lucas.
We're trying to figure out, Lucas, where did you go? We are concerned, worried about you. No. It's all good, but
it's very good. Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yes.
And we were already talking a little bit. You mentioned that you took over this workshop, this tutorial here. They are tutorials.
Yeah. It's a 2 day.
And what is it about? What's what do you teach in it? The topics?
It's kind of you could call it an intro course, but I have a hard time just staying at the intro level. It's just now, like, I can't help myself but be like, all right, you learned the first level, and then it's like, okay, but wait, there's more, and then there's this, and then there's like a knife set, and then you also get this colander, and then you get like, so there's always more, and I kind of go beyond. So even it's an overarching intro. I have had over the last couple years, we've been teaching virtually. So I get QA managers, even dev managers, some SRE or like ops folks. In one class, I had 2 DevOps engineers or DevOps directors. So it attracts people that are not just coming to learn like a tool. I want to learn JMeter. Like there's a JMeter course, just go, I want to learn like advanced JMeter for 2 days. Like I think I might go
dive into scripting.
I might just lose my mind if I had JMeter for 2 days. Like I could do a 1-day JMeter workshop. That would be enough. 2 days.
Second, they would be plugins and crazy stuff.
Oh yeah,
guessing.
like and also like how do you run multiple instances and how do you make like a huge scenario thing and how do you feed different protocols and like you can
multiply.
Yeah. So this is definitely so all of the hands-on exercises in this course are like just enough for somebody to learn. Okay, that's what JMeter is, and this is what it does. And I know enough that if I'm a manager of the load testing team or the performance team, there's just enough to know how to support them and manage them and be like, all right, you need time to script, you need time to figure out the test data, you need to have a working session on the design of the test. There's in the VMs for the training from Coveros, they're all built with the CI pipeline Jenkins running. So the performance tests are well written and defined and then launched with Gradle from built into Jenkins. So you can actually run the perf tests. You get to see it. So you kind of learn performance testing in a CI way. So but it goes into some like strategic ideas, some philosophies of performance, system, time, volume, response time, and then how to remediate stuff. So it's kind of a purview, like the whole, in 2 days, the whole thing you can get out of it. And I actually have a 1-day workshop that is like similar to this, but it's really like 6 hours of a 1-day workshop. This is 2 days spread out quite a bit. So
I think I remember that workshop. You even had an OS with Rundeck already installed and an image that we could just boot a virtual machine.
Did you come to one of those?
I think that's actually where we met. In
San Francisco?
No, it was the
Tisqua in Triangle. Shout out to Tisqua.
Hello, Tisqua amigos.
Exactly.
See you next year. This year we won't have any.
I think this is an off year. It's hard to say now because everything feels weird and off since the pandemic.
The time got peculiar.
And your workshop was like modern performance techniques.
Was
also kind of an intro.
It's very, and it gets my attention as well because yours sounds a lot very holistic concepts. What is it? Each component. But for me, it was a little bit more like trying to modern performance, ramping up modern performance, pun intended on the title.
Yes.
But
15-minute ramp up.
No.
Like I always like a 15-minute ramp up.
That was your ramp up. Probably a breakpoint test.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Increasing.
Yeah.
Until, spoiler alert, I was the one who broke, and I broke my.
He broke the build. And he broke the build, his own build.
My own.
I'm so sorry.
Platform.
You should hire some testers.
Yeah, I need to learn how to do those things, and I broke it at the very midway, not midway, almost at the end. I broke what I was gonna show, one of the cool components. And sadly, it happened. But for me, it was several steps on the continuous, agile, and modern performance testing practice. Getting away from just focusing on big as low test vault. We need to focus a little bit on Chihuahua-sized low tests.
Chihuahua-sized.
Tiny little
Un poquito
perrito. Yo quiero performance test.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly, like the little puppy will ask.
Yeah.
And focusing on having them often as everything moves through the pipeline, similar to what you were showing. But we were inserting performance issues as the monitoring, and this was like a little bit like production synthetic monitoring. And we were not only in production, but all the previous environments, showing them how to monitor that. The whole team should be able to automate, to put scripts if they need to execute, to put them in the pipeline. Performance is everyone's baby. Quality is everyone's baby in the team. So all of us should be paying attention.
And of course, you should never insult or abandon your baby.
Yeah. Sadly, I kind of indirectly insulted babies at the presentation. I was like, we are all making together this baby. Do we want ugly babies?
But no, that's an HR violation right there. You can't go down that path. Right?
Well, in the end,
I gave birth to some code.
And it's ugly. I just mother eyes would think that this is pretty, but
see people.
And
Carlos. Hey, Carlos.
Oh, we're having
Hola,
messages.
Carlos. Yeah, we got a chat there.
Charlie Automatiza. Hey, Carlos. We met him in Uruguay.
Charlie Automize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hola. So that was the workshop, more or less. Detect it, having it with Grafana. An interesting thing is that some were uneasy. Like, are you gonna be in K6 and are you gonna shovel it down our throats and try to get us?
Yes.
K6,
Are you going to be a
K6?
forceful, annoying vendor and just sell your tool?
It's the best. It's the best. And I was like, no, but a little. Why? Because we tried it with JMeter.
Sure.
We had options like Gatling and Locust and K6, and we were trying the easiest, the ones that would flow the best. I won't poo-poo that much JMeter because it has lots of benefits. There are things that JMeter does really well.
Yeah. No, it can do some really amazing things.
But for integrating in the pipeline and letting all the team to edit, there were some ups and downs on both things.
Yeah, but you and I both know our good friends down in Uruguay have the JMeter DSL.
Yeah.
The Abstracta stuff. So if you put your JMeter DSL code on the pipeline
and export it,
and you run, that's how you maintain and run your scripts. The JMeter DSL will actually generate that really annoying and horrible XML.
XML.
So thanks, Roger, for taking that pain away from thousands and thousands of people in the world. But that is one option. If you're a Java shop, but you're like, I know Java, but that XML, that ain't Java. I hate it. But the JMeter DSL is a great solution for getting JMeter on the pipeline and not annoying the crap out of your developers and testers. Because they like to see code. I want to see code.
Yeah.
Right.
And something that is more or less understandable, easy for everyone, that's another point. If you don't know the JMeter platform or where the buttons are, what everything does, I told them, if you learn how to drive in an old Volkswagen Beetle, you'll be, if you understand the driving concepts, it's okay if I put you in a Hummer. You may have a little bit of a time with the larger wheel and these things, but
or just getting into the thing.
It's you have to climb up.
I know it could be it's especially jacked up,
But in essence, it's the same. If you have JMeter, K6, LoadRunner, or any other tools, if you know the principles, you won't have that much of a hard time, right?
Yeah, I got that feedback. Both of our workshops, we had like really good 30-minute Q&A, follow-up, wrap-up kind of stuff, which is a great sign that people, most testers are introverted. I don't know if you know that. Like, we don't talk much.
No, we like to be in our alone and basements.
Yeah, just
dark
kind of.
room.
So
my precious code.
Oh, that's a little creepy. Maybe it's not like that. Yeah, maybe developers are like that. Testers.
It's like the baby. We look our scripts pretty and my precious. We're gonna keep it. I feel like that at times. I'm just taking more for myself.
That's not. I don't know what you're doing in your testing, but that seems like it might be.
I was in weird teams. And
it affected your soul, and just like that ring, like Bilbo Baggins, where he's still evil underneath, even though he seems so timid. He's like, remember that?
After
like at the end
of correlations. I dare you. How do you end up here?
How did you come up after doing raw windsock correlations in the Tuxedo protocol for PeopleSoft? That was horrible.
Oh my god!
Because it's all the byte offsets, right?
It's wow.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was.
It was like there is a field, but and then it was a dynamic byte offsets. So you had to figure out where something was, and then relative to where you found the thing, then you had to calculate the offset from a dynamic left and right boundary.
Functions for just NCC.
Terrible. Anyway,
stories from the past.
Yeah, sorry. But I was going to say, in both of those follow-up sessions, there were a lot of questions. You had said you got stuff about sort of testing at scale or at lower environments, and kind of how do you run that? And I got the same thing. Like, people were like, you could test at like all your environments, dev, QA, pre-prod, whatever, are all 25% environment. And one interesting insight that I shared with people was like, there's kind of two common approaches that you would have. Like, dev is 25%, QA is 50%, and like UAT is 75%, and prod is 100%. And really, if you find a bug in UAT, then the devs might argue it's like, yeah, well, your environment is different than my environment, it's smaller or larger than whatever. Machine. You're always going to end up arguing needlessly about, well, your environment's smaller than my environment, and then that's pointless. You could take the same cost savings and bring everyone, QA, dev, UAT, make them all the same, so that at least that argument is gone. If I can repro a bug in QA or UAT, I could repro it in dev, and we're no longer arguing.
It shouldn't happen, but another situation that you may have, or most often have, is configuration differences among environments that we move. Shouldn't be the situation, but it's
no, because exactly the answer is Terraform.
But
configuration is code.
How many people, how many organizations do that? And I think that also that's why that was a common question on all the our tutorials, because I saw genuine concern, like, hey, how do I kind of mix these tests and everything from our environments? Sorry, everybody, if you're seeing us being here super bright.
We're getting lit up.
Our brains are totally being... No, we have a sunset here, and we cannot do much about it.
It's going that way. Anyway, yeah, great.
So it's something that many people in their organizations, of course, are struggling with that, and wanted to know, hey, how can I test for differences in my environments? Shout out to our friends, Akamas. Remember?
Akamas, yes.
They are really good at tuning and making sure that all of our environments are similar at the same level. That's another one that I almost thought of, and I thought of it after the question was popped.
Yeah.
I gave some answers like we were discussing, but afterwards, like, I should have recommended that, because it's very good to have your environments at the very...
Well, their stuff is fantastic just for like tuning, just generally trying out all the different options and making sure with what's going to actually work.
And in those options and configurations, you may have the same on all your environments.
And I think I was just talking with them at Perform in February. And I think there's like a little AI machine learning inside their
They were
world,
the very first ones that I remember doing AI around performance and trying to fix it through not ChatGPT, but ChatGPT's great grandfather or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was interesting because common problems, common situations, and at the same time still not trying to shuffle anyone's software or push it to people.
Right.
Observability for these metrics is very important, and it's funny that you and I were not pushing a tool. Remember our friend Almudena? She has some instruction that scandalized people. Use whatever automation tool you want in a single organization, whichever, because there are tools that will work better for one project, one team, and not for the other. And just send it to a common repository so that we can connect and visualize and be informed of what is happening in all the teams. And the central repository was like, you can use your Influx, your Prometheus, your Elastic, even
OpenTSDB,
are several options. But what would you use? I kept using Grafana. I was a user way before I was an employee. But what other options? Kibana, a little bit for visualization.
If you're in the Elk stack, obviously Kibana. Elk is the Elasticsearch Logstash Kibana, and that's a visualization tool. There's honestly, there's some simple ones which you can do an extract into Excel and draw graphs out of Excel. Just very, very simply.
Would they refresh continuously?
Yeah, because you can actually write the query, but as long as you could query it from the Excel spreadsheet, you could query it and it would repopulate an active worksheet.
We could use as well some what was the name of the code that you use? Macros. To automatically refresh and do something like that.
And then even in that world, there's like the Power BI. Like, let's say your backend was a SQL Server. Now, maybe you had aggregates, maybe it wasn't time series data, but you could put time series database. You could put time series in a SQL Server if you really wanted to.
The only issue...
but you could use Power BI to pull some of that out. Oh, sure.
Yeah. that's another...
And one of the more expensive one that I think for people that really value visualization for data science is the Tableau. Yeah. And it has amazing adapters to pull data from multiple different data sources and visualize that. It's actually really nice.
How would you share that data through Tableau? Because that was another headache that I had at times. At least Grafana and Kibana and some of those.
Hang on, there's a robot behind us.
We have some traffic happening here. We hope to have this fixed soon. If the audio setup is as good as I expect.
That's as fast as that guy can go.
Yeah, he was blazing.
Seriously.
Flames behind the tires. Can you see? No.
What's interesting though is he can probably go up like 3 stories.
No, he was already like putting new lamps and everything.
If that was I would love that job. Just drive around and.
Definitely.
That would be fun. Anyway, Tableau. You were saying, how would you share it?
Yeah. In Tableau, like continuously allowing. That was always a headache because I was on some projects the Tableau gatekeeper, and no one else but me had the license. That's another one that because Tableau is stupid powerful to doing some querying and filtering and things. It's like,
and designing the actual visual itself had some amazing rendering tools.
Yeah.
But I think there's command line ways to get stuff out of Tableau into a JPEG, and then of course you could automate the construction of a static website. I think also look at K6. K6 can spit out a web report. HTML. JMeter has a web report. After your test, you can actually, once you get a JTL file or you get the results, you can parse and create a static website, throw it into an NFS folder, and have Nginx running somewhere else that just renders a link to the static web report. Like, there's ways to get stuff out of the test tool in its basic form. Load Runner's results, you can run the analysis stuff and it'll actually generate, I think you can even get the PDF out of there as well. So there's lots of ways to get stuff out. It's just, once it gets to a file, people jump to, oh, I have to like email it to you, and I have to put it in a fax machine, and then I fax it to you, or I print it out, and then I put it in an envelope, and I look at it, and I send it to Leandro. But really, anything that can be rendered into a web page, meaning by Nginx or your Apache or whatever your favorite web server is.
I do remember that Load Runner also had like an HTML output. From
it can create a full HTML, and it's a multi-file folder of an HTML report. JMeter is very similar. K6 is a single HTML file, which is really nice. Again, it may not be the most elaborate, and here's what I use it for. Like, I'll run a bunch of load tests. They'll run automatically in the background. If something has gone wrong, in the alert, like, hey, I want a human being to do something based on this threshold that got violated, a failed test.
Because now that's the red light moment it turned on.
Exactly.
Human, please.
Yeah, I want a human brain to go look at this. It doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all visual, but it's like, can I at least roll the markup for a link into that alert? If you click here, it'll hit the my favorite web server, whatever that is, my perf results, internal website, /web, path. Just do the markup in the alert that actually sends a notification. I can click that link, get there. I also roll in my results. Here's the static web report link. Here's a link to Grafana if I have Grafana alerts on or dashboards to look at. Here's a link to Dynatrace. And even though from the corporate network, you cannot get to the data center SQL DBA. The SentryOne or SolarWinds has a database performance analyzer. At PayPal, we had access to it. I still have the script that munges the markup for a URL based on the start time and end time. So I will automatically curate the URLs based on that load test, so that even a DBA could be like, I got the notification. I just happen to be in the data center on the VPN. If I click that link and I'm a DBA, it opens up the database analyzer tool to look at that. So it's just like the friendliness of, hey, if something ran, here was the start time, the end time, roll me the markup for a URL. Just make it easy to click on that and see what happened.
And hearing on your solutions, because from my perspective is I have the dashboard, the Grafana. There you go. I never send you a new link. It's the same one. And if we need there was a problem, it's in between this and that.
Yeah.
Probably a new link with those marks.
Yeah.
But
that's if you're using the short link creator for sharing. You can still munge the markup for a Grafana link.
Yeah.
With the embedded
and put it after the
parameters on the URL for the start and end time, which works beautifully.
But what I was getting at is the key component for modern performance. We both are looking into creative ways to make sure that everyone will be able to get in and see those results without this performance
without friction
gatekeeper. No, because pun intended, I was telling them we become the bottleneck in the process, because if that mythical boss that is supposed to hit us eventually does, and we are not around, who will give the team the results, all those metrics?
Yeah.
And if this is not set up in a way that the whole team can access, easily understand, follow up, track, it's going to be complicated. As you say, remove friction, remove any problem. And it's something that some of the tools, that's also a few downsides that the tools that we had before, especially the commercial ones, I dare you to extract the data and the results out of that tool and use it elsewhere. which gladly, even the commercial ones, I have heard that they are adding these forwarders to other repositories.
Yeah.
And that's a key component. If the data is trapped for only I gave an example like Excalibur, only the true king can lift it up.
Yes.
With the performance tools, most of the time, we were being the King Arthur. If the king is dead, pun intended, we will be having problems like the whole team is done.
Yeah. I think there's another point here as well, that once I figure out how to script the post-analysis phase, I've run, meaning automate, not script, but automate post-analysis. I want to do more than just give me an HTML, give me a PDF, extract some images. It's the how do I deliver those? And I might also need to analyze, aggregate, and send some kind of trigger to a non-human being.
Yeah.
That no analysis is required.
Automate.
So how to talk back to Jenkins? Hey, Jenkins, we're good. You can move this to the next stage of testing. You can move it to the next release. Or this new
release has a problem. Whoa, rollback, and trigger that process automatically.
That's if you have your full deployment going. But I'm still like, the most costly thing that I could have my automation framework do is bother a human being on a false positive or false negative test. I mean, false negative means
the days of the beeper, like you got to come back to the data center.
Yeah, but a false positive. Exactly.
Nowadays you turn your terminal. And
exactly. So, like to me, also it becomes cost though. It's like, is this one worth having a human being look at? It. So then there's all sorts of other information, which is to say, let's say I have 14 scripts across 14 different applications, just for simplicity's sake, but only 4 of them are tier 1, mission critical, revenue impacting, transactional. The other 10, if they fail, no one's going to get fired.
Because it's not Pareto, under the Pareto causing issues big time.
Could be 80-20. Yeah, something like that. Or to Scott Barber's fiblots, my boss told me that's critical, so it's critical. I don't know why, but I may lose my job. We may get sued. We may have financial downsides, whatever. That analysis is also, these are the ones that I'm always going to bother a human being, because even if it's a false positive, at least a human being also knows that something strange is going on here on the most important tests we have. But those other 10, even if there's a false positive or we have a false negative, Monday,
I don't have to.
I'm going to flag something, but it's never going to be like a P1. So that's where I learn a lot. Our other friend Stephen Townsend, that does the SRE slight reliability.
Awesome.
It's so he does performance in SRE, and I'm on the infrastructure team as well in my company. The idea there that you learn these P1, P2 escalations, standard operating procedures, and these kind of SRE ways of thinking, but you apply them to your performance pipeline. And am I going to bother a developer with something that's a P2? I would never. That one's not a big deal.
Yeah, human intervention nowadays, we can decrease it, ramp it down a lot.
Right.
But speaking of ramping down, and as well, because the sun is about to eat our faces, and it's going to be difficult to
It's going to hit yours? Oh, hey.
Yeah, you are already almost there. So, and
I'm burning.
We're going to be suntanned pretty nicely after this. But also because we agreed to have a 30-minute episode this time, we're going to do a blast. Remember, there are going to be, over this week, lots of streams and lots of situations.
Yeah.
But, Amigo Mark.
Yes, sir.
What is coming up with you? What is?
I think you meant to say, what the hell is going on with you?
What's the problem? What's wrong with you people? No.
Yeah, everything is good. Everything is good for me. I work really, really hard. I'm still a full-time performance tester. I'm not consulting, so they let me out every now and then to go do fun stuff. They support me going and teach, like things like this.
Being here.
But we were in Whopper in Uruguay with all of our amigos down there, and I met people from Abstracta, particularly Vera, who has another podcast called, I'm going to have to remember the name of the podcast.
Quality Sense?
No, it's not the Qualities. It's their Vera and Mercedes, their friend. It's the Everything Else podcast. The everything else, meaning there's everything else. And it got me thinking, there's performance and then there's everything else. And that everything else, because in Uruguay, they have a huge concern for ecology because they're a meat producing, like beef and meat is a huge part of their economy. But they also have to do this in an extremely ecological way because of limited resources, water in particular. And we got to talking about like ecology and climate change and the planet. And it really sparked me that I've been teaching people to optimize CPU, optimize CPU disk memory network, make systems go faster, make them perform so that we can like sell things or that employees can be more productive. And we at all costs learn how to optimize these things so you're not chewing CPU. But I never really in all those years said, well, you know, there's also heat. And so if you learn how to get a system to work really optimally and you're pushing
about the planet?
What about the planet? Like, what about the ecological part of performance? And I had given a talk at the Quality Sense conference down in Uruguay on that Friday where I took one of my existing talks and just started kind of thinking about redoing that talk with sort of an ecological bent towards power, cooling, heat impacts, power consumption, carbon footprint. And then it just kind of came to me that there's a whole world of sustainable engineering at major corporations, Amazon, Google. There's a whole bunch of people that are, but they're kind of lofty. And I'm a down to earth kind of guy. No pun definitely intended being down to earth. But they, you know, they're kind of in it. There's some ego in the, aren't I taking care of the planet and you're not? There's some weird passive aggressive things. And it was like, you know what? When we're writing JavaScript or writing C code or Java code or .NET code, we should also be thinking, how many cycles in my serverless function do I really need to do this? Because, so I was totally inspired in Uruguay to launch the Performacologist, which the Performacologist is.
Yeah, you can see his presentation title.
And I always joke like I'm into performacology, like proctology. So, but it is the study of performance.
You're going to check deep down in the system,
deep down in the CPU, and we're going to make sure any blockage in the memory bus is taken care of. But that you have healthy channels of communication for the network. But the idea being that I would actually spend some time taking the study of performance to performance and ecology. So I'm going to spend some time looking at that because I have all this great content and we have a great I go back and look at PerfBytes episodes and it's like, hey, we didn't talk about heat, power, cooling.
Review, renew, revisit.
Exactly,
turn around in ecology, performacology, all that.
Yeah. So that's kind of firing up. I'm still building that. The other portion of what I'd like to do with that is it's ology, the study of. And if you're going to become a performacologist, you would have to become a certified performacologist. And you would have to wear like a white coat with a pad and you'd get a licensed performacologist and a
graduation hat and
rubber gloves. Yeah, exactly. So I started looking, and James and I looked years ago at certification in the performance space. And it's actually a really, really difficult, they're all tool based. So you get certified in, let's say you're certified in LoadRunner or certified in Neotis or something. And
but do you know the concepts and the principles, best practices?
You know,
because it's a little bit.
No, they teach all those things. That's fine. But your certification is that tool.
Yeah.
So you might be a great performance engineer, Leandro, but you're not certified in this tool. Therefore, I can't hire you. And it's like, wait a minute. Like we just said earlier, like once you learn JMeter, like you can translate those skills over to these other tools because you're not just, I'm certified to run a tool, I'm a certified performacologist. So a closed system or an institutional system for certification around performance makes no sense to me because it evolves and changes so much faster than the discipline changes so much faster than we think it does just because tools and tech. But like a CCNA, you can go to get a network certification from Cisco. I'm a certified CCNA, got my certification, and TCP, networking, the basics, BGP, UDP, IP versus IP routing, right? All this stuff. Concepts. Like once you learn those and get certified, that certification is pretty much valid tech for a pretty long time.
Yeah, I'm sure we will still have routers around and TCP
version. If you got certified in LoadRunner, but you didn't know how to put LoadRunner on a pipeline, you can't you probably won't even pass an interview nowadays.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to take this and extract all the images and start sending notifications from LoadRunner into, so again, you get certified in JMeter if that were a thing. There is no certification for JMeter.
I think there is. What? There are a few around.
Maybe.
No, I know.
Okay.
I have it. It's.
Are you a certified JMeter person? Okay, that's
believe it
nice.
or not. Yes. It's some my STQB thing or something like that.
But again, you having a community like Whopper is a good one, like PerfBytes as a community. That is, these are other performance people in the community that are dedicated to helping teach and share and expand and actually also support and sponsor new people who want to learn the craft and kind of, I've really got the bug. I want to be a performance person for a long time. Why don't we build an open source model for certification of performance engineers and load testers and the like, and come up with a new model that's actually Git based for certification? And you have to submit a pull request to become certified. You have to do N number of experience reports. You have to renew your certification by submitting something back. You either contribute by reviewing other people's submissions and giving your thumbs up, thumbs down. And we start building the army of URA certified performacologists. And the experience report would not be, I did X. It was, here's the research question that was part of this performance investigation. And here's like a research paper almost. So, and the Whopper experience reports are a great way to actually write something like that.
And understand
even the Q&A, like you get questioned like you're defending a dissertation. If you've ever been to a Whopper, it's kind of like giving a dissertation, and then people just come at you with questions and red cards, and it's a very expansive, wonderful experience. But that we're going to interrogate you on your decisions, your research, what you learned, what you shared, what meaning you're making. I thought that seems, so something about that trip to Uruguay was very inspiring to me.
I love the part of trying to make it open source, because it becomes like a wiki, self-updatable. It keeps growing.
It evolves and grows.
Because the best practices, and we have been hammering that today, from 5 years ago, are not the same best practices as nowadays.
Right.
And things will keep evolving. That's an awesome initiative.
Yeah.
If anything new, as usual, I am happy to collaborate.
And there's no charge.
Yeah, it's open source.
It's open source.
Gratis.
It's free.
Okay.
To contribute is free. To sign up. So that's going to be coming, I don't know, as soon as I get around to it. Maybe this summer there'll be some downtime and start launching at least the framework. And then, of course, I need somebody to anoint me as the first official performacologist.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need a quorum of like N people, and maybe I'll tap the Whopper community of people who are like, we know what these experience reports are. A committee, or I don't know. We'll have lots of meetings. We'll talk a lot about
stuff.
Need
a hammer.
We need a gavel. Order in the performacologist circle or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of breaking the model for institutional certification in a very healthy way, I think.
I love it.
Yeah. So performacology. And I'm probably going to do some YouTube stuff. We'll keep doing some PerfBytes things along the way as we keep going. This is great, by the way.
Yeah, we'll try to keep doing some streams. Definitely, we'll keep playing together, and probably we'll keep getting roasted here on camera under the sun. So, amigo Mark, why don't we do the final step of the ramp down? It has been a pleasure to be around with you, amigo.
Yeah.
PerfByters, people in QA watching everything. We are reporting from StarEast 2023 in Orlando, Florida. This is going to be a busy week. Remember, if I blast your channels and media and the elevator with lots of activity, fun, guests, awesome guests, stay tuned, because it's going to be a busy week. And I'll see you around. Amigo.
Yeah.
And everyone, have an awesome day. This is a sunny day here, as you can see. Take care, and we'll tune back soon.
Ciao.
Time to